Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to the top 50 games of all time. The top 20. No, this is 20 through to 11, so just outside the top 10 here. Let's just get into it with number 20, Riverside. A lovely little roll and write game here. It's another one where I took a chance on it, like, okay, it's cheap, let me try it out. And I do not regret trying it out. It's neat. It has a lovely little function to make it a little bit more longer with additional ports, I guess you could call them, tiles you put out. And it's just again a very neat little scoring where you have to get more every time you want to score something again. And the utilization of the dice is lovely, and the topmost dice are put to the side while the bottom dice. That's a weird way of explaining it, I know. But overall, a very lovely roll and write game. Number 19, Maple Valley. So the continuation of Creature Comforts, which is in the universe, right? But it's very different, very different. Because of the Maple Valley is more of a sort of a little bit of a deck builder, moving around, collecting resources, while Creature Comforts is all obviously a through and through worker placement with dice, with the dice deciding where you place it. So Maple Valley was very fun as well. It's more probably towards children. I don't know if it's that much easier than Creature Comforts, I have to say. But still a very lovely game, Maple Valley, and it's number 19, of course. Number 18, a game my wife was lovely, amazing, gave me the expansions for, I can't remember if it was birthday or Christmas, they're very close. And she wanted to give me the game as well, but she got a Polish edition of the game. Now, normally that probably isn't the worst thing. I could just look up, translate the rules. But, here's a massive but, the artwork was different and it was very ugly in this Polish edition. So, that's unfortunate, and I just spent a very long time looking and finally I got the main game and it was really fun. Draft, there's always the draft. It's a drafting game, but you draft these dinosaurs rather than drafting cards, little meeples that you didn't place out. Super awesome little game of placing out these dinosaurs, putting them in the right pens to score, and they have a little like winter board, which makes it a little bit more difficult in the scoring section. But I think it's very lovely. It works really well as a two-player game. It works really well as a larger player count. I actually really like it, and the expansions just adds a lot of fun to it. Number 17. It's another game that was on the last year. It's still in the top 20, although it has fallen a little bit, as it was 13 last year and it's fallen down to 17. Mostly because I just haven't played it as much recently, probably, and I guess there isn't really coming a lot of content out for it. It's Flamecraft. It hasn't really gotten an expansion or anything, although it's now 2 years, I believe, since it released, or coming up on 2 years since it released. No expansion or anything. That's too bad, I think. But then again, I don't have an idea for it, expansion for it. But I love this. It's a lovely little game about having a dragon that going around and creating a lovely little village full of shops with dragons in it that has special abilities. And in the end, I win every time. Not really, but I win a lot actually in this game. But I think it's very lovely. The shops is a great little addition to it. And again, it has a little opportunity to add a little bit, to make it a little bit more difficult when you have it in terms of companions and more difficult enchantments, as I guess I would call them. So a lovely little game here. Number 16 was actually also number 16 last year in my top 20. Wall Chest. It remains number 16. That's just how it all it folded out. I think it's the only one that has retained its place in on the list. Yeah, but I really like this two-player game. So it's I can describe it as advanced chess almost. You obviously draw from a bag the tiles that you need and they have special abilities and you move them around. And I think it's very lovely, quite luck-driven, but it's also one where you are a little bit afraid of attacking, because if you attack are very offensive in your moves, your opponent could quite easily retaliate, and losing any kind of disc is incredible. It's a lovely little story about how it's, you know, a game about how to be a ruler and stuff. And you don't want your men to be killed because you don't have a endless supply of it. Opposite of what you see in a lot of movies, obviously. Number 15 is also new to the list. Like, you know, most of the games, like 31 of the games. Ark Nova. It's a lovely zoo building game which incorporates some polyomnus on your little zoo tiles here, but also of course with a lot of card play. I was about to say deck building, it's not deck building, but I think it's pretty great. Like when you first see it, I was like, how are you going to symbolize that? Okay, that you have filled in the animals and stuff, but in the end you just flip over the tiles. It's a lovely little way of doing it. A bunch of rules about placements and ways to score better in placements and upgrading your things. The little pathways that you're moving around here where you take an action, it can be really strong over here, but then it's moved down to be very weak. So you can't do it twice in a row, for example. Some lovely examples of that one, and the fact that you have to choose which ones to upgrade, because you're never going to upgrade more than 3 or 4 of your 5. So you are always going to leave 1 or 2 of them. So when is the right moment to do it? Generally just a bunch of amazing little choices throughout, and trying to create a zoo that fits together very well, but in the end I don't think that's the purpose of it, because you are going to end up having a lot of maybe the same, depending on how you score and stuff. The scoring is of course very weird. It's something where you can't really get to know it, understand it from just reading the rules. You have to have it played out and then see, okay, so now it was this. It is a bit weird, but I guess that's maybe just me and my crew that we played with that think it is a bit weird. But yeah, I know, a really lovely game. I'm looking forward to getting to play it with the expansion. Number 14 was actually number 11 last year, so dropped down just a few spaces here. It is Casting Shadows. So it's moved down a little bit. It is still a good game. I still really like it. I guess it dropped down just because sort of the interest in it dropped so a little bit, but also I can't find the right word for it. But anyways, it's a lovely little game about being on the space and fighting for your survival, basically. We usually always set it up where you have the large player area. There's some rules that you have a small player area with a smaller player count, but it's better with the large player area no matter what. So I believe it's like 5 and 6 player setup, and then you have 2 to 4 player setup, but we always use the 5 to 6 player setup because it's just better. And it's a lovely little thing where each tile you land on gives you some kind of ability, and you just try and get a hold of abilities, you know, attacking abilities, and then defeat your opponents. And your opponents can have some counter spells and stuff. It's a lovely game that doesn't take too much brain work, which is always lovely, even with such a large game. So, Casting Shadows. Number 13 is new to the list as well. Heat, Pedal to the Metal. Actually recently got a hold of the expansion. Might do a video on that soon enough. Have I even done a video on Heat? I don't think I have. I can't remember I have. But it's a great game. I really like it. Sorry about that. It's a racing game, obviously, Formula 1, but in like the 60s, I believe. Not modern Formula 1, but more 60s Formula 1, and have a great selection. Italy, Great Britain, the United States, and France in the opening box. And then for some reason you get, I believe it's Japan and Mexico in the expansion, which is, I think that's a bit of a weird choice, but hey, fair enough, that's their choice. I would think maybe Spain or Belgium would be more obvious choices, but Formula 1 is not something I know too much about, so maybe that makes sense that it is Japan and Mexico. It's still a really fun game, very simple in driving around. The garage module is definitely one that after like 3 or 4 plays, we don't play without it. It just adds so much to it that it's very much worth it playing with that. But other than that, it's a great racing game. 2 or 3 rounds, getting over the line first. Some lovely little things that are added to be sort of thematic. It's a very great thematic game from here, Days of Wonder. So yeah, Heat, Pedal to the Metal, number 13. Number 12 has dropped down a few spaces. This is one number 10 last time around. It is Keystone North America. I think one of the reasons it's dropped down is probably because I'm mostly looking forward to the 2nd edition, which is launching quite soon. But maybe it would have dropped down further if it was only for that. I'm not, I still love the game, maybe it's filling my mind. But then again, it's not very far down, is it? So yeah, Keystone North America, a great little game about building a 4x4 grid and trying to match up a bunch of icons and numbers, and then you have a secret way of scoring that you also fit. It's one of those games where you're trying to build the perfect grid, but you're never going to build the perfect grid. And some people like to complain about that you can't be building a perfect grid. I think that's the challenge of making it as good as possible within the setup of the game. Now, there is some cards in it that is definitely better than others, and that's something you can complain about. That, like, it's definitely better to get this card with multiple symbols and this number than this card that has less symbols and this number. You can definitely, that is definitely a thing to be said. But in the end, I really like this game about building this grid and stuff. It's a lot of fun, and you score on all ways. So like you can't just think about one way. You need to think about every single way. Always amazing. Now that was number 12. Number 11, the last one on this list. One that has risen a bit here. 15 last year, so it's going up. It's not many of these that go up on the list actually. It is Parks. Parks is a lovely little game from Keymaster, it's their name. I was about to say Keystone there. Keymaster, about traveling around the United States and getting back. Well, you don't really travel, you travel across this one. But I like it, I really like it. You're just moving ahead, and you can get a little bit in each other's way, but you're not going to get too much in each other's way. And being there first is definitely a good thing, but being there second or third is fine as well. So a lovely little game. It's also cozy. I saw it on the Dice Tower's top 10 most relaxing games, I believe it was, and I bought it, and I love it. The artwork is, of course, one of the main things about it. It's an amazing artwork, amazing components for a game that was bought in retail. Like, this is not a Kickstarter version I have, it's just a retail version. Amazing components, amazing artwork, and a really great gameplay about trying to visit as many parks as possible. So that is this top, this 10, 20 through to 11. Next time it's the top 10. And how exciting is that? The end of it. I can reveal now that the top 10 is very much, not changed very much. But until next time, bye!